guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, my name is Venice, and if you know me personally, you would definitely know that every conversation matters when it comes to me. Anyway, so why don't we step right along? Because last time I promised you guys that I was going to tell you guys about the experience of going back home after living for 1 year in Germany and how that whole thing unfolded for me. So if you haven't watched that, I'm going to put that maybe somewhere here or here. You will see that. Just go watch it and you will understand why I'm saying whatever I'm saying right now and how the story is actually unfolding. So now moving right along, I think this episode, I really just want you to understand that, especially for people that have been depressed, people that felt like this is the end, I want you to take this episode for that. I hope that it inspires you. It really empowers you to know that you're not alone. And so when I went back home in 2018 in September, when I arrived there, everybody was super happy. Obviously, my family was super happy to have me back. The weather was great, because if you've lived in Germany, you would understand that the whole conversation about weather is like always on top, okay? So, I went back home. Everything was okay. Everybody was okay. My parents were happy to have me back. My dad was happy. My mom was happy. My siblings, they had like a whole entire like ceremony, okay? Like there was cooking pap and everything. If you're in South Africa, you should definitely know what pap is. But if you don't know, it's like a grinded corn that we turn into, I don't know. I don't know. Other people will say fufu, but it's not necessarily that. So you eat it with, I don't know, chicken. Oh, maybe it's not so sounding good if you're vegan, but you can eat it with whatever you want to eat it, just not with bread. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it was like super, super cool. Everybody was there. Everybody was excited to see me. But then, the party was over. Everybody went back to their homes and everybody went back to their lives. But what was gonna happen with my life? Because I began to think that something was not adding up. I quit my job prior to moving to Germany, or prior to my experience in Germany. So I had no job. I had like a diploma in communications, and that's kind of like at that time, I'm not necessarily sure if it was like a hard market, but I think if you live in South Africa, you know the toughness of finding another job. And I think that was the experience thereof, right? And so when I was like all over. I knew that I was talented in something. I knew that I was made to do something, but that was something bigger than the corporate world itself. I also knew that I could do something like help the community, like do whatever, but I just knew that was just like not fulfilling to me, or there was just something missing. And I think, we take for granted the stuff that really makes people depressed. We just see them as depressed, but we don't necessarily see the journey to going there. So I think all those things and realizing that everybody has moved on. It's been absolutely 1 year. I mean, we're talking 12 months. So if I left a friend who was pregnant, they had a baby. You know what I'm saying? So if I left a friend who was doing their third year, they were probably graduating or something like that. And things were different, I just didn't know what was happening with my life. And so it went from a month, to I don't know, 2 months, where I'm just like trying to figure things out, but I was not lining up. Things were just like not happening in the way that I expected and wanted them to happen. And so I was hoping that, in December, I'm making New Year resolutions and my life changes and I see what things are changing in my life. And it was, the minute I checked, it was almost like 2019. And I needed to figure out what's gonna happen with my life. And I knew that something was just not adding up. And I think just the stress in general, not having a job, not knowing what is happening with my life, having a fucking diploma that was not gonna even help me at that moment. I knew that there was something bigger about me, but I just didn't understand how to unravel it, how to, narrow it down and shape it or define it. And so I began having a bad day. You know, it was a bad day. And I was like, you know what? I am feeling bad today. I am going to sleep. And I went to sleep. But the bad day turned into 2 bad days, you know, and I, you know, today I'm sleeping, tomorrow I'm sleeping, and, you know, that 2 days turned into a week, you know. Then it was a week of me sleeping. And then, you know, everybody's thinking, okay, she's tired. Obviously, the work is different in Germany. Maybe she's trying to find herself, find her thoughts, relax, and get herself rested. But then that turned into a month of me just sleeping. Literally waking up, eating, preparing dinner for everybody that's coming back home. Because I was then staying with my mom and dad and my family. So my little sister was going to school, my little brother was going to school, my mom was going to work. Like, there was literally no one, I mean, not every day, but everybody was just on with their stuff. It was just like me at home, not knowing what to do with my life. And that turned into a couple of months, and then it turned into a whole entire year of me sleeping. I don't know how this would be for other people, but for me it was absolutely crushing. And I remember at one point I lost appetite. I didn't value life. I didn't want to, I don't know, I just began to be in moments and in places where it was too dark. I was not happy. I was not functioning. I was not thriving. I think another person that I follow on the socials, she likes to say, I was perishing. And I think this is the right word. I was perishing, y'all. I spent at least minimum of 14 hours per day sleeping. Damn! Y'all, is that not a joke? Y'all, 14 hours, like the literal minimum. My dad at some point, he was at home. You know what he would do? He would be waking up, you know, and say, you know, obviously when we wake up, I don't know, people have different rules at their homes, but because I don't sleep with my dad in his room or my mom in their room, when we wake up, you greet each other. So you're like, hey, good morning, something like that. So we always, he's like, hey, how did you sleep? So I think every time he would say that, I would literally look at him, see in his eyes my pain. And I think when you're in the moment, you're not realizing the pain you're in until you step out of it. Or you're not realizing the pain you're in until somebody else looks at you right in your eyes and you're realizing the pittiness that you're feeling. And I think at that point, he then looked at his little girl who has always been driven, but she just didn't know what's the next way or what's the way forward. And I think that on its own was absolutely crushing. And would I say that I would trade that year for something else, or I would do something different? I think that year taught me so much, and I don't know why it had to happen, but it happened because I needed to learn something. I spent literally, when you're putting all that year of 2019, 14 hours minimum sleeping, including the 3 months of the 2018, that's like literally 1 year and 3 months of me, literally 15 months of just me sleeping and eating. And I want to say that when you find the opportunity and when you get to a point where you can rescue yourself, and I think this is another conversation on its own, because nobody's gonna rescue you, right? But when you find yourself stepping out of those moments, you begin to be super grateful, because that moment taught me a lot. I was so suicidal, you guys. I thought, this cannot be my life. Either I'm ending this thing right now and that's it. And I had given up on myself. I was like a victim of my own life. I felt like I'm not good enough. I'm not capable. I'm not smart. I felt a whole lot of negative energy around me. Do I think that was true? I don't think so. But I'd like to say, I think also on my WhatsApp status, if you follow me, whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right. And at that moment, I thought I couldn't. I thought I was bad. I thought I was not functioning. And that's what I believed. That's what I believed. It was, when people say it's a mindset thing and you really necessarily don't believe them, I personally think it's a mindset thing. Because when you are depressed, you don't see anything positive, but nothing is gonna look positive because that's all you see. You're thinking it, you're breathing it. It's like in your muscles. It's like you need to build that muscle up, to begin to see things from a different perspective. It's absolutely not easy. I'm not gonna sit here and say, you wake up and say, we're happy today, we're thriving. That's not how it is. It requires time to learn and to become and unlearn and to crush other areas in your life and crush other layers in your life and rebuild new layers and become somebody else. So at that time, when I could see the pain, my dad's pain, I could see through my dad's eyes, my pain, I just knew that something needed to change, but I just didn't know how. Again, remember when I told you that I slept 14 hours minimum? So this is what I was gonna do. Like, I would sleep the whole night, wake up around 1 p.m. during the day or 2 p.m. because I'm hungry, and then go eat something, and then I would see my dad. My dad would be like, hi, or something, and then I would say hi, and then go back. And then I remember this was so crushing. I felt like crying at that moment. This is so painful to even think about this moment, because I went to get some food, and I ate, and I think my dad was looking at me, and I could see he's in pain. And my dad is I'm more built like my dad. Like, we don't not cry that much. Like, I also cry, but it's maybe I'm built more like my mom in that aspect. Maybe it's a good because then my dad is like hardcore, and I think I'm also sometimes hardcore. But he's very strong and very stubborn, and I think I also could not show that I was crushing and that I was going through the most, even though I was going through it. And so when I finished eating and I could see my dad is trying to talk to me, I think he wanted me to do something, or was asking me to, I don't remember. And then he could realize that I was now stepping back into my room, or heading towards the direction of my room. And he said to me, I think he said it in his language, because my dad and my mom is completely different language. He said, something like that, right? That's my dad's language. And so what he meant was, are you now going back to sleep? And I think he didn't realize it, but for him, it was obviously foreign. My daughter is waking up at 1 p.m. and, we're not talking about parents that you tell you have to wake up at 4 no, this is not the type of story that I'm trying to explain. Just in general, you should know that there's something wrong with waking up at 1 p.m. Like, you're a whole 23-year-old. You need to go out there, thrive, do something. I woke up at 1 p.m., 2 p.m. And when he said that, when he asked me, are you going back to sleep again? He could see that there's something wrong. He could see that this is not normal. And mind you, my dad has been in my life all my life. So he knows that this is not the type of person I am, and so that on its own pained me. But obviously, somehow things happened, and I got pulled out of there. I knew that I wanted to find something, but again, you know what? I'm one of those girls that you could never crush me. Tell me something is impossible, I will tell you, you know what? I'll figure out a way. So what happened was, things happened, things changed, and I needed to now begin to think, because the first time I went to Germany, I didn't have a plan. Maybe that's why I was depressed afterwards, because I didn't have a plan. You need to have a plan sometimes. If you don't have a plan, that's okay. And I think we shouldn't judge people if they don't have a plan. That's okay. People can live their lives the way they want to live. But for me, it gives me the security. I am somebody who's obsessed with contingency plans. So I needed to figure out if I'm going back to Germany, because I thought at that moment that I'm super depressed at home. I've been staying here for 1 year. I don't know what is happening with my life. I don't see any direction. Things are just like legit happening. So what should I do now? So I needed to now find a plan and like draw a plan. And when people talk about drawing a plan and we think it's a joke, y'all, it is not a joke, because you look at that thing and you tell yourself, tomorrow this is what's gonna happen. This is what I need to do. Obviously, things might not work out the same way that you want, especially if you're still in the learning process. I'm also still in the learning process. And so, but I thought about it, and I was beginning to try to find something positive, I guess. And I figured things out. I put a plan together. And I knew that if I'm going back to stay abroad, doesn't matter which place I'm going to stay. Because yeah, because I really just wanted that experience for myself, right? And I said that if I'm going to go stay abroad, I then need to have a plan because I cannot do this back and forth, back and forth. But also remember, you're like a first-time diaspora, right? You don't have anybody that has already lived abroad in your family and stuff like that. My mom would never do that. She doesn't understand why people need to leave their hometown to go live somewhere else. She's that type of person, you know. She raised her in the same place that she, you know what? I'm not gonna, that's a whole conversation for another day. So when I went back, I had a plan and, you know, things obviously are not gonna go according to your plan, but we're hoping that they do, and you hope you have that as a mind map to navigate around, you know, that journey. So yeah, I went back to Germany, and now I am based in Germany. In I think next year, February, it's gonna be like 4 years. That's a whole entire journey on its own, okay? Because it's been yet another roller coaster, you know? So that's a whole entire journey on its own. But I'm back in Germany, and I've been living here for, you know, almost 4 years now. I'm doing quite different things, and I think I'm now finding my feet in the career world. You know, I'm trying to find my balance. What do I really love? I'm finding myself. I'm learning and unlearning. It's such a really growing moment for me. And I feel like, you know, if you want to do that, obviously it's not for everyone. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. But for me, it grows me so much that I've grown a thick skin. What? Obviously, you guys know what I mean with a thick skin, because, you know, some people be coming at me, they're like, girl, you don't look that thick. Okay, it's a fine. I accept, not a problem at all. What I'm trying to say is, like, I've grown the muscle to, obviously, to just really take care of myself. And I think I'm going to tell you on the next episode about living with fear and living with anxiety, because I think that's a whole conversation in its own. But yeah, so I'm now here, trying to find my feet, trying to also find, you know, my career, figuring those things out. So yeah, if you guys are obvious, you know what? I'm actually super happy with all the comments that I'm definitely gonna be getting. So if you also had this type of experience and you're like, girl, I was depressed, you know, things were not in alignment, and I don't think it's something to be happy about, but I also think it's something not to be ashamed of, because for me, it grew me so much. I'm gonna tell you in the next episode, I'm gonna talk about anxiety, because then there you're gonna understand actually what really happens behind everything. So yeah, if you have had those experiences and you want to share them with me, you know, my comment section is always open for y'all, because I'm going to be reading all those comments, and I'm super happy to hear about anyone that relates to my story. And I know it's such a painful conversation to have, but we have to have it. That's how it is. If you know me personally, you would know that every conversation matters with me. Please do not forget to subscribe, because that's how to keep your gal growing and this podcast happening. So from me, Venice Maruta, stay winning. Bye.